Hey guys, so a little bit of a different video for you today. I'm going to make a couple of cards in the background while I talk to you about a cause that's very close to my heart. So this was a little decoupage that I cut out. This was from a magazine. So I'm just showing you the pieces and the papers that I cut out of this. I've already pre-put these sticky pads on the back of the Dinosaur decoupage, so I'm just going to put this together while I talk. So May is Lupus Awareness Month. Now, some of you may know that I have lupus, along with some other autoimmune conditions, but I have spoken about it. I did so in the awareness ribbons video and things like that. So I don't actually know how long I've had the condition. I've been diagnosed just over a year. I've definitely been experiencing sort of symptoms for it for at least 2.5 years I know of. But the main problem with lupus, if I'm completely honest with you, is the fact that it is so like so many other conditions. It can hide underneath other conditions. It mirrors other conditions. The symptoms are so wide-reaching, it could pretty much be anything. I mean, I don't know if any of you have watched House, the TV show. There is a running joke through the series that it's never lupus. Lupus gets brought up in lots of episodes because, as I said, the symptoms can mirror other things, but the running joke is that it's never lupus. And in fact, with some of my really close friends, when I was explaining to them my diagnosis, the first question I said to them was, have you seen House? And it pleased my heart how many of my friends actually went, oh my God, you've got lupus! So, you know, it's a standard joke for the TV show. And as much as I do find it funny, and my best friend and I are rewatching House and keeping record of every episode where lupus is mentioned, it isn't actually that funny. The problem being where it mirrors so many other conditions and it can affect every part of your body. It might affect one part of your body, it might affect every part of your body, it might only affect your skin, it might affect you for 6 months and then go dormant for a while and then come back. It is so difficult to diagnose. So it was diagnosed through a combination of taking histories, symptoms and blood tests. Now, I'm not good with needles anyway, but I was referred to a few different people. I'm not going to give you a full backstory. That's not what this is about. But I went for my first appointment and they said, we're going to do some bloods. I was like, right, okay. So I went down, and I don't look when I have blood tests because I'm not good with needles. But I could sense movement from sort of behind my eyes and my arm. And I looked up and she'd taken 11 vials of blood. I was like, right, okay. I left. I started walking out towards the exit. She then came and found me and went, I'm really sorry. I missed some. So I had to go back and have another 4 or 5. So that was quite a lot of blood taken in one go. I'm just going to pause here because I've just about finished the first card. So this is very simple, decoupage on the front and then just a little note inside. We're going to start on the second card now, which is a bit more involved with some stamping and colouring. So they did the bloods, and based on the results of those blood tests was how they diagnosed me. I did also get diagnosed with some other autoimmune conditions, which I'll happily talk about if you have any questions, but this video is purely going to be about the lupus. So, that was a bit of a shock to the system because I didn't really know much about it. Obviously, I'd watched House, so I knew the joke, but and the paperwork that I got at the hospital was sort of supportive suggestions how to live, how to deal with different things. I read through it and I sort of just laughed because there was a lady who they had done a sort of case study on in this booklet, and she said, oh, you know, I maybe plan 2 to 3 things a week to do. And I just laughed because I was still working full time at this point. I was thinking, this is ridiculous. I know that I'm coming home from work and I'm sleeping most of the night and I'm exhausted, but I was still working. And I started sort of fighting against it really, because what I didn't want to do is go, oh, okay, this says I don't have to do anything, so I'm not going to. And I sort of went the wrong way and I pushed myself to do more than I probably should have. So I started doing more things at work. I started doing more things outside of work just to try and not ignore it, but kind of not be defined by it. Which went horribly wrong because I had a huge flare and I crashed and I slept for about I don't know, 3 days I think it was. So that wasn't the best plan. Now that I've done some more research and I've spoken to more people, I'm a lot better at managing the condition. But it has completely changed my life. So I'll go through some of the main symptoms. So there are different types of lupus. So there is systemic lupus, which is what I have, which means it can affect your entire body. It's an autoimmune condition, so that means your immune system is basically attacking itself. So when you get ill, your immune system attacks the problem, the bacteria, the virus, whatever it is, and fights it off for you. I've always had a poor immune system, but I didn't really think anything of it. I just thought, well, I work in schools, children have germs, they're not great at washing their hands, I've just got a poor immune system, that's why I get ill all the time. Really didn't think anything more of it. So having researched this now, I do sort of understand a bit more that this could possibly have been going on for a long, long time, but it's hard to know when it started. So yes, it's an incurable immune system illness. So what that means is that there's no cure, I can't fix it. I can take different medications to deal with the symptoms and the side effects and try and make it functional, but this isn't ever going to go away. And that took a lot of acceptance. I'm still not quite there. There are days where I'm just like, no, this can't be happening to me. But there are other days where I can't ignore it because, I can't get out of bed or whatever. So it can affect any part of your body, and this is the dangerous thing. There is a type of lupus that just affects your skin, and you'll see some people get what's called a butterfly rash across their cheeks, usually when they've been out in the sun or under certain strip lights. Thankfully, touch wood at the moment, I don't have that symptom. I've always been quite careful in the sun anyway, because my natural hair colour is from a ginger family and I'm very pasty, so I always wear sun cream anyway. But since the diagnosis, I've been even more careful about going out in the sun because, it can be really quite dangerous. Mine is the systemic version of the condition, so that means it affects my internal organs. I was quite ill a couple of Christmases ago, and I was in hospital for 2 weeks over Christmas, on Christmas Day. That was fun. And that there were problems with my pancreas and my liver. And so we think that was obviously part of, if not the instigator for the disease becoming more prevalent, it was definitely part of the condition. But for me, the main symptoms are exhaustion, pure and simple exhaustion. I cannot explain it. Like I've said to people before, I'm tired, I'm knackered, but this is a whole other kettle of fish. There are days where I physically cannot get out of bed, where I can't move my limbs. There are days where I am so tired I can't actually even form a sentence. And my other half has said he's tried to speak to me and he can tell that I'm trying to speak, but all that's coming out is random noises, which is quite scary both for him and for me actually. But so the sheer exhaustion is crippling. I've always been functional. I have always worked. There was a point where I had 5 jobs because I needed ends to meet, and I've always been busy and I like to keep busy and I like to be productive. So when we were looking at this academic year, so starting from September 2019, I ended up having to cut my work hours down to 15 hours a week. And it took so much to come to that decision because I didn't want to do it. I have always worked, I've always been productive, and I'm not saying people who don't work are not productive. Please don't take it that way. That is not what I'm saying at all. I just felt wrong. But my other half is very good at keeping me focused, shall we say, and basically sat down and we went through some things and we realised that actually, do you know what? In order to make life functional, I'm going to have to cut down my hours, because in the July, I was working 5 days a week. I'd come home from work, I'd be asleep. Occasionally he'd be able to wake me up in the evening for dinner, and then I'd go back to bed and I'd sleep all weekend. So it wasn't functional. I couldn't do anything else. So cutting my work hours was a big thing, and it has helped with my fatigue. But there are still days where I'm completely non-functional. And that's part of my problem. The other big problem that I experience is my joints. Now I have osteoarthritis in my hips anyway from dancing. I used to dance as a child, and I will happily talk your ears off about that another time if anyone's interested. But for the last 12 years, I've had excruciating hip pain, and that's been put down to this osteoarthritis in my hips. Although they're now concerned that it could be linked to the lupus, but that's a whole other kettle of fish. What I've also in the last 2 years developed is horrific pain in my hands. Now 90% of my videos I will be wearing gloves. These are my plain grey ones. You'll have seen some that are rainbow. I've got some purple ones. I've got some green and purple ones from a lovely lady who makes them. She's absolutely fantastic. But I have to wear these gloves all the time. When I wake up in the morning, my hands are very stiff, very swollen, and I can't move them, and they are excruciating. So when I first wake up, my other half has to actually physically put my gloves on me because I can't do it. My fingers just won't move to do it. So I have to wear these compression gloves every day. And during the winter, it's great because it keeps me warm. But last summer, when we had that heat wave, I was not impressed with wearing gloves every day. But I can't dispute the fact that it helps. So the joints that I mainly experience pain in are my fingers, my wrists, my elbows, my shoulders, but they also have another condition on top because, as my surgeon said, I guess you're just lucky. Yeah, thanks for that. My hips, which obviously already have the osteoarthritis in, and then my knees. My knees at the moment are really struggling with lupus pains, and that is making moving around difficult. I mean, at the moment I'm on a 12-week isolation because I am high risk due to my medications, so I'm not getting out very much anyway, but I'm still struggling with moving around the house. And yes, so they have a variety of medications, as I said, that can help treat the symptoms. I started a new medication in January, and so we are keeping an eye on that and monitoring it. So they're reckoning, sorry, I started it in February, I lie. They are saying that it should by now start to be getting some benefits from it. So I'll keep you updated. I have noticed occasionally my hands are better, but I don't know if that's just the warmer weather because my joints are always better in the warm. Always have been. So, and that's linked to the arthritis as well. So it is really tricky, as I said. The stuff with lupus it can mirror so many other conditions. I mean, the scary thing about it, because I knew so little about it, is according to the Lupus Trust UK, worldwide, lupus is acknowledged as being more common than leukemia, muscular dystrophy, and multiple sclerosis. And I'd heard of all those and knew more about them than I knew about lupus when I was diagnosed. So, yeah, I do think it's important. I'm not going to be, preaching about this. I do have a personal Instagram that is sort of dedicated to my lupus journey. So if you're interested, I'll put that link in the description box so you can go over and have a look at that. But yeah, so I just wanted to sort of come on, say that this is Lupus Awareness Month. This is something that I have, and if you have any questions or anything, please put them down below because I'm happy to answer questions that I can. And yeah, I just wanted to come on and give you that little bit of information. So just to quickly add in at the end here, now that I have done my influx of facts about lupus for you, is these cards are for my best friend. His birthday is actually today, the day that I am editing and recording this audio. So happy birthday, mate. He loves dinosaurs, dragons, anything like that he loves. So I thought I would do these two styles, which are quite different, but both encapsulate the dinosaur theme. So the first one you saw was a bit of decoupage. So I had pre-cut it all out because, as you saw with me cutting out these creatures, my cutting is incredibly slow. Where my hands are so sore, cutting is a slow process. I'm considering getting maybe a scan and cut or a Cricut or something like that. If anyone's got any of those machines and have any recommendations, please let me know because cutting is getting quite painful. What I would like to know though is, do those machines also work with dies? Because I've got quite a lot of shape dies and layering dies and things that I'd like to be able to use as well. And I don't know whether those machines do use dies as well, but I definitely want something else to help me cut these things out because I am struggling. So yeah, this second card, I've just stamped these dinosaurs, which are a clearly besotted stamp set. I love Clearly Besotted. They're a UK based company, but they do also sell in America through Simon Says Stamp. You can find their stamps on there. So these guys, I just stamped out 3 little dinosaurs. I did a red, orange and yellow cat because, well, saber-toothed tiger, I should say, not cat. Get in trouble for that because I like cats. I've done a purple dinosaur and a blue dinosaur. A couple of little eggs that I was going to do white and green to make them look like Yoshi eggs, but then I decided against it. I did green and glittery green. And then just some rocks to make a little bit of a scene. It's not really a proper scene. I just wanted to make something quite simple using that nice backing paper with all the names of the dinosaurs on, which again came from this magazine set. And then I'm just going to stamp and die cut a sentiment to go on the top. Yeah, I did have fun making these. It took me a long time to cut them out. So definitely looking for a way to fix that in the future. So then I'm going to stamp a little sentiment that I'm going to die cut and put on the front. That's me done. I'll show you a quick close-up of both these cards in a second. Thank you for spending time with me today. I know this has been a bit of a different video, and I know I did overload you with quite a lot of information, but I wanted to get it done quickly rather than make a half-an-hour video. I wanted to sort of do just a quick punchy one so you get some ideas of it, and then any questions I will happily answer. So please consider liking and subscribing. I do videos on paper crafts on a Monday and resin videos on a Friday. And at the safe, keep crafting, and I'll see you soon, guys. Bye.